Hey yo, it's your girl Kato, and today we're talking about the time when I was so broke I got my car repossessed. Yay! Okay, so most of the internet, everyone talks about being successful and how they've made so much money and all the amazing things that they've done to acquire this money, but nobody really talks about how shitty that process is. Currently, I'm at the point in my life where I've made the most money I've ever made, and it was a fucking journey to say the least. So I wanted to backtrack to the time where life was not so awesome because that's important and that's like probably the one thing that no one ever really talks about. Okay, so rewind to when I was younger, Carly. And I was in my very early 20s. I think I had just turned 21 and I was super, super excited about like being able to go out and drink and like not be carted in fear for my life. And yeah, it was just a great time. Think about when you turn 21, how excited you are, and life was great. I used to have this silver Nissan Altima, and it was like my first big girl car because my first car I ever had was an old Volvo. It was like a 96 Volvo, and the sunroof like leaked. The brakes you could hear from like 4 blocks away. But regardless, it got me from point A to point B, and I loved that car with all my heart. My mom helped me get that car and I was like obsessed with it. And it was the best $3,000 we ever spent basically. And it carried me on for a very, very long time until I didn't put oil in the engine and like basically blew the whole engine. Um, Oops. So that didn't work. And then I switched that car and I got a silver Nissan Altima. I was so excited about it because it was pretty, it was cute, it was clean. But then when I turned 21, I was at a point where I was making really good income. I was working for a company that was paying me salary plus commission. I had been promoted to store manager and I was so young. So to be making this amount of money, obviously you're not really putting it in all the right places. I had an apartment and I was like, the one thing I'm missing is like, I really want a car that I'm obsessed with. And I was walking out of Miami-Dade, the Kendall campus. And as I was walking to, by the way, no, I didn't finish college. Like if you thought I did, you're crazy. I was walking to my car and there was this Lexus IS. It was a 250 and it had black rear view mirrors, black tires, and then it was like stock white. It wasn't a pearl or anything. Like it was like almost a matted white. I was obsessed with it. And this was back, I want to say this was like 2015. Yeah, 2015. So I ran to Lexus and I told them I need this car. I had taken a picture of it and I literally went from Miami-Dade to Lexus. That's the type of person that I am. I see something, I want it, I go and get it, or I find out what I need to have it and then I just figure it out and make it happen. I've always been that way, even as a kid. And yeah, that's the chaos that I did. So I go to Lexus. I'm like, I need this car. They had one in stock and I found out it was this limited edition called the Crafted line. The Crafted line Lexus made for all of their models in this bright, bright white, just like I said. And then all the accents, including the door handles, were black. It also came with limited edition Toomey luggage. So the Toomey luggage was jet black with red stitching. So as you can see, I was in love with this car. So in love that I made the very stupid decision to lease the car for $575 a month plus tax, not even including insurance. So I'm 21 years old and I've got myself like just over $900 with my car alone. And I, like I said, was making awesome money at this job. And as I'm working this store, I had a very, very tall, sophisticated gentleman come in and he was in a suit one day and he told me, you should come work for Lexus. Well, I had just bought my car from them, so I was really excited about this opportunity. And I knew how easy it was for a sales associate to sell me on the car. And I figured, listen, there's nothing I can't do. I had potential to make more money than what I was making, even though it was like strictly commission based. I took the leap blindly, and I think I left the store that I was at maybe 2 weeks after. It was such a quick jump. I started working for Lexus and quickly Found out $575 a month for my IS was absurd, especially at that time. I mean, yes, it was a beautiful car and everything, but I did get murked on the deal. Which, like, listen, it's okay. I think there's people that you can, like, as a sales associate, right? If this is such a side topic conversation, but if you go to a dealership and your sales associate like is putting the monthly price so low and they literally can't go lower anymore, they're not really making any money. My sales associate and everyone that helped me was so above and beyond, and they jumped through a bunch of hula hoops so that I could have this car, especially at 21 with like almost no credit. And yeah, all of their hard work, I felt like, okay, they deserved their commission. But in essence, I probably shouldn't have gotten a $900 car. I mean, I definitely shouldn't have gotten a $900 car. So anyway, I'm 21, become a sales associate for Lexus. I was crushing it. My first day on the job, I had made $3,500 selling cars in literally one day. And that wasn't my commission on a car. That was how much I made that day, my profit. So I knew my paycheck was going to be fat that first month. And yeah, everything was great until it wasn't. I started dating someone, and like I was very wrapped up in their life, and it was a really, really toxic relationship. I feel like I was constantly paying attention to where was this person, what were they doing, and what happened was because I didn't trust that person, like even going to the grocery store by themselves, instead of leaving that relationship, I did the worst you could possibly do, and I drowned myself basically with that person. So if they were going to be on a boat day on a Saturday, I would call out of work sick and I would go on the boat Saturday. It was just a fucking spiral in my life where when I was at work, I wasn't even paying attention to work. I was crying a lot in the bathroom, or I was like on social media trying to like track what this guy was doing. It was back when you could go through your likes and it would show all the pictures that people are liking. And I was like, what the hell? He was liking all these other girls' photos. People were sending me DMs about him and like screenshots of text messages. So there was like this really, really crazy rough patch in my life where I was freaking the fuck out. And I basically just wanted my relationship so badly to work that I lost myself and got in a dark hole, because with dealerships, what happens is they give you this thing called a draw, which technically think of it as like you borrowed money. So let's say my draw was, $2,000, and they would give that to you at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, your commission would be minus $2,000 because they basically gave you that money up front and then they take it away. Here's what happens. They gave me my draw. I didn't make enough to equal out what my draw was. I made less. So I owed the dealership money. So I didn't get a commission check, and then I had to owe them like, I want to say like $1,800, almost $2,000. So I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, well, you're not selling cars. You haven't been making the profits. You're not making the commissions. You were making bonuses. You're not hitting any of your numbers. So I realized like, oh my God, how am I going to pay all my bills this month? I explained to the guy that I was dating at the time, basically what happened, that wrapping up so much of my life with his, and like all of our chaos and back and forth had like fucked me in, making sure I had my work taken care of. He did cover my ass once, I believe, and he paid for the car payment. But it was probably like 2 months of me paying that car payment and still dealing with the relationship drama after that I had just said like, oh my God, I can't afford this car anymore. Which mentally it was rough for me, because looking back at it as a grown up, I realized it's not that I could have afforded the car. I definitely could have made those payments. I was living like way beyond my means with a $900 car. Even though I was making six figures at that age, I was making the money, but I just feel like I couldn't have afforded it because it's not like I owned a home. It's not like I owned anything. I had no assets. So in an essence, I'm like, if I don't have assets, I don't feel like I have any business paying for shit like that. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. So after the second month, I had realized, man, I really can't afford this fucking car. And work wasn't getting any better. He had basically gotten in my head about, listen, your job and how often you're there, the amount of hours that you're there, it's ruining our relationship. And that's why I'm going and seeking attention from other places. And I bought that. So I switched jobs. And when I switched jobs, I realized there's no way I'm going to afford this car because salary at any of these other places just wasn't cutting it. And yeah, I had made the decision, like, what am I going to do? Because I was really scared. I didn't want to have consistent 30-day hits on my credit. And I was like, fuck it. I have to do a voluntary repo. I tried trading the car, but it didn't work out. Obviously, I was in the car world. So I tried everything I could do to get rid of this car in a proper way. And I literally fucking couldn't. So I told myself, you know what, let me call the bank and ask them what are my options. And they literally told me we have to repossess the car. It would be a voluntary repossession and you can pay it off later once it goes to collections if you can afford to. And I was crying, guys. I was crying. My beautiful car with my black and red interior. I had worked so hard for this baby. Like, how did I get myself in this rut? How was I in this spot? Like, how do I have nothing when I still literally had everything? Like I still had the Lexus job. I still had my beautiful apartment. Like I had all these things, but I just was in such an unhappy place. And I was so, I don't even know like if brainwash is the word, because I was just making careless and stupid decisions. And I had lost myself so deeply in the sauce that I put myself in a really, really bad position. And I remember calling my dad. I was crying. I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? How did I do this? And oh God, I remember that day like it was yesterday, and it was the worst. And I put my big girl pants on and I just said, I got myself in this mess. I'm going to get myself out. And him and I made the amazing decision to live together because, you know, when everything's going downhill, sometimes I just put my foot on the gas and I'm like, let's go faster. Especially when I was younger, I was such a dumbass. I think we all are, and we're allowed to be, right? It's about learning from those mistakes and growth. Don't judge me. So, yeah, we move in together. I get my car repossessed, like literally watch them come hook it and drag it away. I cried. I bawled my ass off, and I had to go buy a $6,000 Honda. It was a CRV. It was like falling apart, and the interior was like the cloth tie-dye look. And I mean, it honestly was a good car. Like I can't say anything about it. I drove that thing till like 222,000 miles. It was nuts. That thing still chugged along. It was a really good car. You want to talk about Honda lasting forever? That car lasted forever, and nothing broke on it. Nothing needed to be changed. None of the light bulbs went out. I mean, it was a good car, but I got it at a buy here, pay here. And yeah, which was stupid. Also, again, stupid decision because I assumed my credit was like shit, but what actually happened was the repo hadn't even been reported yet. So I actually could have just probably gotten like a new Honda and paid a $300 a month amount. But instead I went to a buy here, pay here, did a terrible deal again, and was paying $300 a month for a $6,000 car because of the interest rates was so high. A lot of stupid decisions here. A lot of things happened. A lot of things transpiring. Okay. Lots of no-nos, lots of poopy decisions. Anyway, I ended up in that Honda for about a year, and that year was enough for my whole life to basically just go turn upside down and come back down. I guess, like I said, I had really put the pedal to the metal with making poor decisions. And after that repossession and ending up with a Honda CRV, I looked at my car every day and I was like, this is the worst fucking car. I hate it. What did I do? You're supposed to go up in life. And I just went like this, like straight down. I was unhappy in my relationship. Everything fucking sucked. So one day everything just aligned and it clicked for me. And then I broke up with him and I moved to the Keys so that I could basically pay nothing in rent. And I called the collection company that they had my car repossessed to. I had just started Gasa Carly. I quit my job at Lexus. Like everything happened super fast. But I was like, I'd rather make no money working for myself than be fucking miserable out of job. I don't even need absurd amounts of money anymore because my expenses are so little. So I was like, I'm going to move to the Keys, pay off all my debt, which the biggest debt ever was that stupid fucking repossession. And I busted my ass with Casa Carly. If you guys have been following me long enough to know, when I first started Casa, I busted my ass every day till like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I was up by 7 and I was just on a fucking go. And working so hard did pay off. I was able to make, I think it was like $900 payments a month for 7-8 months until I paid off the loan debt amount for that Lexus. I was like, look, I did the irresponsible thing of getting a car I couldn't afford, or I could afford, but then couldn't afford. You always have to think of the future when you're making these massive decisions. If like the $900 a month car, you know, if you can afford it, but you're making $7,000 a month, that's not really a good idea, right? Right. Okay, if you're thinking like, oh, it's not that bad. No, wrong. Okay, if you own a home, if you are in a very, very good position in life, if you have a lot of savings, if by the time you pay your $900 car, you still have $12,000 a month coming in, cool, make that decision. But don't do it if you're making like, if it's tight. Don't fucking do that, okay? Anyway, I called the collection company. I paid off that really shitty debt. So on my credit report, it showed, you know, repossession, but then it showed collection paid, which I knew would look good to the banks because it gave me an opportunity to be like, look, everybody goes through shit in life. I'm very young. I had a hiccup with work and then I got a better job and now I was able to pay it off. I did that long enough. Once I paid off the Lexus and that repo, I was able to move back to Miami and basically start my life over again. But as an entrepreneur, you know, just solely doing Casa Carly. I had a weekend job for a little bit, I think with, no, I did. Yeah, that was the time frame. I had a weekend job. I had a weekend job with Fortune Realty. That was pretty cool. And then I switched out of that Honda. Like as soon as I was on my feet, I switched out of that Honda. I had my black Camaro and that was my baby for a while. And yeah, life comes at you fast. And listen, life works out, but life works out if you make it work out. I caused so much chaos in my life, so much. And the point wasn't that I caused it. It was, how was I going to get out of it? And what was I going to do to fix it? You can always end up in an area where you're just lost and you don't know how you're going to get out of it. But you have to sit down, look at everything, just make moves. Get yourself out of the hole you got yourself into. Take responsibility. Just make decisions that are in the right direction, one foot in front of the other, trucking along. Next thing you know, you'll blink and you will be out of that pothole you got yourself in. I promise. Now, moving forward, I obviously pay attention to everything I do financially. That was a very scary moment in my life. I never want to feel like that ever, ever, ever again. I never want to go back in life. I always want to take a step forward, or if I do something like downgrade my car or downgrade something, it's because there's going to be a bigger, better outcome. And it's a short-term thing that I'm aware of, not because I made a mistake and fucked myself. I will never do that ever again. So yeah, that was one of the journeys I wanted to share with you guys, because like I said, everyone on social media talks about all the wonderful things that they've accomplished and all the money that they have, but not the process and how fucking hard it is to get there. And that was just one shitty mistake I made. So honestly, I've got stories for days. Anyway, I am a car repossession survivor. And you too can get out of the shithole that you are in, like I did. Thanks for tuning in today and listening to my very fun repost story. I can't wait to see you guys next week, or maybe I'll even drop 2 episodes in 1 week. Who knows? Maybe I'll surprise you with a little razzle dazzle. Also, I have bangs now. I swear my life is not in distress. I am okay. I don't need help. It was a conscious decision I made and I'm happy with it. So I like my bangs. All right, guys, love you. As always, stay positive and don't get a $900 car payments. Okay, bye.